My mom smiled like she just discovered generosity and said, "We gave your seat to your ex. She got us 10% off the Christmas catering." Then my sister chimed in, holding out a foil container. "Here, just take this so you don't feel left out." Not a dinner plate. Not even a chair. Just a foil tray. Meanwhile, I was standing there holding over $2,800 worth of wrapped and labeled gifts, still warm from the trunk of my car. I gave a quick nod. Didn't bother asking which ex they meant, didn't matter. I turned and walked back outside like I'd forgotten something. And I had my dignity. That seat wasn't left vacant. It had been reassigned, like some extra folding chair you throw into a garage sale. There was no place card with my name. I glanced across the table, elegant, gold-trimmed name tags, each clipped onto wine glasses with dainty little pine cones. I got handed a tray in the driveway. And my ex, I'm guessing it was Natalie, had apparently scored my spot. The same Natalie who worshipped 5% cashback rewards and lived off expired Groupons. She was sitting right between my uncle, the guy who once tried to pay for sushi with euros, and my cousin's new girlfriend, who told the whole room she did energy cleanses professionally, which I'm pretty sure is just a rich girl way of saying unemployed. Natalie raised her glass and gave me a wink. I lifted my tray in return and walked away. I'd been there for maybe an hour. Showed up early, even genuinely hopeful. I'd triple-checked the RSVP. Got an email back from Mom that said, "Glad you can make it, just bring your holiday spirit." Apparently, that translated to cash, zero expectations, and emotional detachment. The whole driveway was packed. But even with every space taken, there still wasn't room for me. I wasn't on the list, just my credit card. That's the family motto, right? If you can't offer value, offer Visa. So I did the only thing a man with even a shred of self-respect left would do. I sat in my car, set the foil tray on the passenger seat, and ate stuffing with a plastic fork while Mariah Carey screamed from someone's speaker down the street. Then I sent a text to my banker, "Suspend all holiday transfers." By 7:43 p.m., I'd pulled my wallet off the shared Google Drive, removed myself from the lease on the apartment I was still unknowingly paying half of, and locked access to the emergency fund titled Family Safety Net, which, let's be honest, mostly covered late-night Uber Eats and eyebrow appointments labeled urgent. At 11:07 p.m., my sister texted in all caps, "The account is empty." But what really flipped the switch was the message that followed 5 minutes later. At 11:12 p.m., my mom sent another text. No caps this time. Just, "We thought she was doing something kind." She said it was for the family. And that's when it all hit me. This wasn't just about the 10% discount. This was about Natalie. The same ex who still posted selfies at places I took her, writing captions like, "Miss this spot, red hearts." The one who once said my brother had unexpected charisma for someone whose entire dating profile was just a dry resume. The one who treated our breakup like a networking opportunity and updated her LinkedIn. She wasn't trying to be generous. She was trying out for a part. The catering was just her way back in. The so-called discount? Just bait. What she really wanted was my brother. I pulled up his Instagram, and sure enough, 5 days earlier, he'd posted a picture at some cafe. In the background, slightly out of focus but completely recognizable, was Natalie. Elbow on the table. That familiar smile. No tag, of course. But I knew the scarf. I bought it. I set my phone down and just sat there. The gifts, $2,800 worth, still sitting in the trunk. The leftovers, now cold, on the kitchen counter. And somewhere out there, Natalie was being toasted with roasted duck and welcomed into my family like she'd never ghosted me over a lukewarm lot. I opened my banking app. 3 shared accounts. 2 linked debit cards. 1 recurring transfer still active. I shut down every single one. Then I opened the digital folder titled Family Logistics 2021 and Beyond. It had been tucked away inside another folder called Dad's Taxes. Because that's what people do when they're laundering trust. They make it sound boring. The first file I opened? Mason Annual Flow. That word again, flow. Like I was a damn cash pipeline. $2,000 a month, labeled family support. $1,200 a month, Kara's rent. $6,042. James, tuition, fall and spring. $320. Monthly insurance for the family's beat-up 2012 Honda Civic. Still technically mine. Still barely running. The spreadsheet was updated weekly, with little notes like, remind Mason bonus season. Asked gently if he'll cover spring break. Natalie suggested group trip. Might sponsor if invited. Sponsor. I wasn't their brother, I was their investor. And Natalie? She wasn't my ex anymore. She was pitching herself to the board. I couldn't sleep that night. My brain was on fire. I started doing the math. Over 22 months, I'd given them just under $49,000. Quietly. Without a single thank you. No strings attached. But also without agreeing to be replaced by someone who ghosted me over barista drama. The next morning, I got a voicemail from my dad. His voice was calm, like he was ordering lunch. Just checking if you'll still cover January's tuition, he said. Deadlines this week. No mention of Christmas. No word about the foil tray. Nothing about Natalie sitting in my seat. I didn't call back. Didn't text. Instead, I printed every transaction, every email, every bank notification, and mailed them to myself. Certified. Time-stamped. Unopened. Because I had this feeling, like deep down I knew. This wasn't done. And next time? I'd need receipts. Actual receipts. I found out the way most betrayals show up nowadays, through a notification. 6:17 a.m. My credit card flagged a transaction. $3,820. Alpenflog Panorama Tours. Zermatt. Switzerland. Ski resorts. Chocolate. And definitely not my kind of family trip. I hadn't booked a single thing. But clearly, someone had. Then another notification popped up. $1,435, Hotel Bellevue. $978, Glacier Express train. $302, cheese fondue reservation. At first, I figured my card had been compromised. Some stranger halfway across the globe must have gotten hold of my info. But then I checked the email linked to the booking account. And there it was. Tim's. My brother. His name. Same email he used back when I ordered his college textbooks. Even the profile picture was familiar, just updated now with ski goggles and snow in the background. You could see a girl's arm wrapped into the frame. Right next to the photo, a comment thread. My mom had written, "You deserve this, sweetheart." No shame. No attempt to cover it up. They'd used my travel wallet. My frequent flyer miles. My stored ID scans. Even the backup copy of my passport, the one I uploaded years ago in case of emergencies. Well, I guess the emergency was them wanting a luxury vacation that didn't include me. This wasn't just exclusion. It was erasure, paid for by me. I texted James one word. Zermatt. He responded. Wrong number. The nerve. I didn't argue. Didn't scream. I did what you're supposed to do when the math stops adding up. I did an audit. Logged into my bank. Checked the emergency credit card. Limit, $9,000. Available balance, $4.27. And sure enough, every transaction lined up with their Instagram posts. Auntie posted a room with a Matterhorn view, living the dream, she wrote. My mom shared a boomerang from a spa where they dipped cheese and smiled like peace had finally arrived. James's girlfriend filmed a gondola ride. Wind in her hair. Hashtags like #blessed and #family. They were living their best influencer lives. And they were doing it all on my dime. So I canceled the card. Froze every account. Marked every single booking as unauthorized. Their ski passes? Hotel reservation? Canceled mid-check-in. Airline tickets? Revoked before they scanned the gate. Then I called the bank. Relationship to the person using your data? They asked. Let's go with former. They landed back in town 2 days later. I didn't need to check their flight. My neighbor sent a photo. My dad's suitcase was busted open. My mom was yelling on the phone. James was dragging his broken-wheeled bag and wearing my jacket. 6:41 a.m. I knocked on their door. No heads up. No warning. They weren't expecting me. But I didn't care. I walked in and dropped a full printout of the charges on the table. The whole mess. From the $8 bagel to the $700 train ride. You've got 3 days, I said. My mom blinked like numbers suddenly stopped making sense. My dad opened his mouth, probably to rationalize. I lifted a hand. Don't. James stepped forward, tone calm like I was the one overreacting. Relax, he said. You're being dramatic. I stared him down. You stole from me, used my cards, logged in with fake credentials, and went skiing with my ex. His girlfriend quietly disappeared into the hallway. But James held his ground. She said she got the discount, he muttered. Mom said it was okay. He was pointing fingers like this was just a misunderstanding, like betrayal was some scheduling error. Then he added the line that cracked the room open. You wouldn't have enjoyed it anyway. That was it. Not just theft. Not just exclusion. Justification. My dad tried to calm things down. Son, we've been going through a lot lately. You've always said you'd help if we needed it. I stopped him right there. You don't get to ask for help while pretending I don't exist. Then I looked at my mom. You gave her my seat. You let her slide back in through James. For a 10% discount. No apology. No guilt. Just a look like I was a traffic delay. An inconvenience. So I said it straight. You wanted me out? Fine. I'm out. Legally, emotionally, and financially. And unless I get every cent back, I'm filing charges. My mom whispered, You wouldn't. I turned to James. You still think I'm the same idiot who paid your tuition, don't you? He blinked. Wait, what? I nodded slowly. Spring. Summer. $6,042 in total. That check didn't come from some family friend. It came from me. He was speechless. Just stood there. My dad turned toward my mom with a look like he'd never seen her before. You told me your cousin helped cover that. No, I said. It was me. Quietly. Like always. While you all were busy calling me dramatic. I didn't stay for their excuses. I walked out, drove home, sat down, and started drafting a letter to my attorney. Because this wasn't just a family spat, it was a full-blown audit. And I was officially done being generous. They thought I was bluffing. They always do. As I was leaving, my dad shouted after me, We'll talk this out, like adults. I didn't answer. Because adults don't steal their son's money, identity, and ex-girlfriend to put together a luxury travel package. 3 hours later, James texted, Bro, this is wild. You need to chill. Then another. You were never really into travel anyway. And then, I'll pay you back. Just need a few months. After that, silence. Until 11:43 p.m. That's when I got a new alert. Someone had used my email to log into the university portal. Tried to reset my financial guarantor credentials. I clicked fast. Denied access. Changed every password I had. And that's when I saw it, a scanned document. A financial form. My name. My address. My forged signature. James hadn't just stolen money. He forged my permission for a semester I didn't even know he was enrolled in. I printed everything. Filed a fraud report. Attached screenshots of his texts. The voicemail where he asked me to just fix it like usual. And the PDF, with that butchered signature pretending to be mine. At 8:12 a.m., the university's finance officer called me back. We're launching an investigation, she said. I told her, perfect. Let me know where to send the subpoena. After that, I sent a group email to the whole family. Subject line, liability summary. Q4. Attached, a detailed breakdown of $49,000 in contributions. Screenshots of every payment. Copies of tuition bills. A document titled Restitution Plan with a proposed timeline and a due date. 30 days passed. No replies. Until Aunt Melissa finally emailed back. She said it seemed excessive. Attached was a photo from Christmas dinner. James sitting at the head of the table, Natalie right next to him, and my empty chair in the background. Her message read, It was a lovely night. Sorry you missed it. That line broke something inside me. I stopped defending myself. I called the DMV and reported the Honda Civic as misappropriated property. They still hadn't transferred the title. It was mine. Sunday morning, I drove to their house. Didn't bother knocking. Used the spare key from the garage like I always had. The Civic was out front, covered in snow, like some shared cigarette left on a porch. I got in, started the engine, and slowly reversed as James came running out in socks. "What are you doing?" he asked. I rolled down the window. "Restoring ownership," I said. "You can't take that." "But I can." He kicked the tire like it might fight back. Natalie appeared on the porch in my old hoodie. I looked at her and said, "Didn't know you still wore things that weren't yours." She scoffed. "You're insane." I drove off. 30 minutes later, she texted me. "You could have handled this like a grown-up." I replied, "I did. You're just not used to real consequences." Then I made my final move. Opened my cloud storage and found the deed my grandfather had given me. Scanned it. Filed it with a lawyer. Changed the cabin's access codes. Revoked every shared privilege that involved James or my parents. They hadn't been there in years anyway. But the point wasn't that they hadn't visited. It was that they couldn't come back anymore. At 3:42 p.m., my phone rang. It was my mom. She didn't yell. She whispered, "Your grandfather gave you the cabin?" Yes. That was meant for everyone. No. It was meant for someone who doesn't treat his son like a corporate donor. She paused. "We were going to surprise you with a ski trip next year. The cabin would have been part of it." I laughed. "You already did the surprise part." Then I hung up. That evening, James texted. "The university emailed me. You filed fraud." "Yeah, that's my future, man." "Exactly." The next morning he called me 6 times. I blocked him. At 9:11 a.m., my parents showed up at my apartment. Together. No yelling this time. No pastries. No fake smiles. My dad handed me a check. $8,700. I didn't touch it. "What's this?" "You said restitution." "Here it is." "No," I said. "Restitution means you're sorry." My mom said, "This is just to stop the bleeding. You're punishing all of us." I looked at them. Really looked. They weren't shocked. They weren't hurt. They were terrified. Afraid of exposure. Afraid of financial consequences. Afraid of the silence. So I stepped forward, gently handed the check back, and whispered, "You wanted me out? Now prove you never needed me." Then I closed the door. They came back with flowers, peonies. My mom's favorite. Not mine. My dad wore a pressed shirt and that fake half-smile he only uses at funerals or tax audits. James wasn't there, probably still hiding behind university firewalls and legal disclaimers. "We want to talk," my mom said. "We think it's time to start fresh," my dad added. Start fresh. Like this was some browser tab they could just close and reopen. Like they could erase the money they spent skiing across Europe with my ex while I ate cold stuffing out of a foil tray in a parked car. I let them in. Not because I forgave them. Because I wanted to see how far they'd go. Of course, they brought pastries. Every family apology in our house comes wrapped in laminated sugar. My mom began her speech. "We've had time to think. It wasn't right. We should have communicated better. We never meant to exclude you. Things just got complicated." Then my dad jumped in like a relief pitcher. "You're the mature one. Always have been. You handled this whole thing like an adult. We admire that." I let them talk. Let them sugarcoat every lie and chant "family" like it was some magic word. Then came the offer. "Let's do something together." A dinner. "Just us," my mom said. "Reconnect," my dad added. "No tension. No history." "Sure. Let's reconnect." I agreed and smiled. Offered coffee. Let them believe they were winning. That night, I booked a restaurant. Fancy. Private dining room. The kind of place where you don't get a menu, you get a chef's monologue. I made the reservation under a fake name. Just in case they tried to cancel when things went sideways. Then I called in 3 favors. A private investigator to compile a report documenting all the fraud connected to James and the forged financial aid form. A family lawyer to quietly prepare cease and desist letters with my parents' names already printed. and a friend in HR to draft a completely fake internship offer for my sister. She wasn't there yet, but she would be. The night of the dinner, I dressed like nothing mattered. Charcoal shirt, hadn't worn it in months. They arrived together. My mom complimented the lighting. My dad joked about the no menu thing. I nodded, sipped my wine, and said all the right things. We talked about old memories, childhood trips, Grandpa's cabin, everything except that I was the reason they hadn't declared bankruptcy 2 winters ago. Then, halfway through the scallop course, I stood up. I've got something for you. I placed a small folder on the table. My dad reached for it first. I opened the folder and started reading the first page, stopping mid-chew. What's this? My mom asked. A breakdown, I said, of everything I've paid since 2021. She flipped through the pages quietly, lips moving as she read the totals. It's detailed, she said. I'm detailed, I replied. Then I grabbed my phone and hit send. One by one, their phones lit up with notifications, 3 emails each. One from the private investigator, subject line, fraud, James Palmer, signature forgery. One from the lawyer, titled, cease and desist, financial misconduct notice. One from HR, subject, intra-level admin opening, interview slot reserved for K. Palmer. They didn't say a word. I finished my wine and put the glass down. You wanted a fresh start, I said. This is it. They left dinner stunned but smiling. Not because they understood what was happening, because they thought they'd won. You're being the bigger person, my mom said at the door. My dad patted my shoulder like I'd just agreed to co-sign a mortgage. I smiled, held the door open, and watched them walk away like they'd just escaped a courtroom without jail time. 2 days later, the family group chat came alive again. My aunt posted a meme about second chances. My cousin tagged me in a Facebook memory from 10 years ago. Like nostalgia could erase theft. Even James broke the silence. Let's move forward, he wrote. I messed up. You're still my brother. Still my brother. The way an expired passport is still technically identification. Then my sister texted. I hear you're hosting a picnic? I paused. They already knew. Of course they did. I'd mentioned it casually to a neighbor 3 weeks earlier. Might have some people over. Family. Outdoors. Something light. That was all it took. By Saturday, half the extended family was treating it like a TED Talk with snacks. I didn't correct them. I just booked the space, printed 17 folders and filled each with a resume template, a job listing tailored to their past screw-ups, a printed QR code linking to the local employment office, and a cover letter sample that started with, I am ready to become a functioning adult. I called it the Palmer family reboot. The day of the picnic, they showed up overdressed. Mom brought a decorative pie that looked like it had never been touched by human hands. My sister wore a blazer. Dad wore cologne. That alone was suspicious. They expected a speech. Maybe a round of forgiveness. An announcement that tuition, rent, and grace periods were reinstated. Instead, I handed out manila envelopes. One by one. My cousin opened his first, laughed, thinking it was a joke. My mom opened hers and turned pale. My dad didn't open his. Just stared at the others like they'd been handed subpoenas. What is this? My aunt finally asked. Your new beginning, I said. I took the liberty of preparing starter kits. My sister flipped through her folder like it was radioactive. This isn't funny. It's not supposed to be, I said. I looked around, picnic tables, homemade lemonade, resume packets fluttering like judgmental leaves. You said I was heartless, I continued. That I was punishing you. That I didn't understand what family meant. So I thought, fine. Let's level the playing field. I nodded toward my dad. Your job lead is for a warehouse inventory manager, based on your previous work. Entry level, but with benefits. I know you like stability. Then to my mom. Community kitchen assistant. Part-time. The same place you volunteered at before. They need people again. I called. Then my sister. Receptionist at a private clinic. Low pressure. Your old manager vouched for you, despite the way you ghosted after 2 weeks. Then my aunt. Senior cashier at the co-op you pretend not to shop at. No one laughed. I stood there and let the silence fill the space for everything they didn't want to admit. That I had done more homework on their lives than they ever had. Then I pulled out the last envelope, labeled James. I handed it to him. He didn't take it. So I dropped it on the table. It's a job listing for a tutoring center. Entry level, $15 an hour. You'd be helping kids prep for college. Irony optional. I'm not doing this, he said, voice cracking. That's okay, I replied. Neither am I. Then I held up my own folder. Empty. Because I have a job. A home. A life that didn't come from gaslighting and guilt. I didn't stay long. Didn't eat. Didn't drink. I left them there, with folders, job leads, and the realization that their safety net had just become a mirror. Let them decide what to do next. Because I wasn't playing savior anymore. I was the warning. I didn't send a goodbye message. No, I hope you understand. No, take care. Just silence. That was the point. At 8:11 a.m., my sister texted. Are you serious? You actually submitted the fraud claim. Yes. The university froze James' enrollment. His financial aid? Gone. He called me 7 times. I didn't answer. At 10:23, my mom messaged. I talked to Natalie. She says she regrets it. Too late. She blocked me, probably before I could block her. At 1:04 p.m., the Civic was picked up by a buyer. Cash deal. $2,400 straight into my account. The new owner smiled and said, runs okay for its age. I replied, same could be said for my patience. At 4:57 p.m., I got a ping. Transfer complete. Title registered. Palmer cabin. Sole owner. Grandpa never called. Never asked how it went. He didn't have to. He knew. By 7 p.m., the family group chat was quiet. No more memes. No more let's talk. No more inspirational quotes about healing. At 11:12 p.m., exactly 1 week after I was handed a tray of leftovers, I got one final voicemail. My dad. Cold. You've made your point. Congratulations. Just know what you've done to this family. I didn't reply. I just leaned back and exhaled. Felt the floor beneath me settle for the first time in years. They wanted me quiet. Obedient. Grateful. Instead, I gave them something else. Accountability. The kind that bites. The kind that comes with job listings, frozen accounts, and notarized letters. They thought I was a wallet with feelings. Now they have the feelings. And I have the cabin. My money. And the last word. Which is none at all.